Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Renewed Mind Revolution podcast with your host, Michelle Cookall. As always, it is my honor, it is my pleasure to be able to come on once again, share some tips and some tools with you guys that I know will assist you in becoming a better you. Listen, I am so excited about this podcast. This is the recap of 2021. And we are going to talk, we're going to share, we're going to inform, we're going to encourage on today. I have a lot of facts that I want to share with you guys regarding some things that we've had to deal with in 2021 and that we are continuing to deal with as we face 2022. And so you all know right off the back, one of the biggest things that we're dealing with right now is coronavirus and the different variants of this this virus. I want to share some things that I learned about it, just for information purposes to inform you, because that's what I do. I want you to be informed. I want you to be enlightened, so you can make good, healthy decisions for yourself and for your family. This is something that we have been battling for 2 years now, actually starting the end of 2019 here in the United States. And so here we are going to 2022, and we're still talking about it because it has not gone anywhere. It has just constantly mutated and changed in different forms. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about, as usual, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health. We're going to talk about our perspectives and how we handle all these different things that's going on in our society, in our country, and in our world right now. How do we handle this? How do we face this? We're going to talk about that today as we recap the year 2021. So let me just give you a heads up. The first part of this podcast, we're literally going to just deal with facts. We're going to talk about statistics. We're going to talk about even crime that's going on nationwide. Certain types of crimes, and a question that I've had, which is why? Why is this particular type of crime so high? And so we're going to kind of talk about other people's thoughts as to why, reasons that are out there as to why. So we're going to address some of these things because these are the things that has happened in 2021 and that was just highlighted. It's just certain things that happened in 2021 that was just highlighted. You guys know that I do not deal very much with political views or perspectives on this podcast because I try to keep it as far as being empowering and informational and inspiring. So we don't really hear politics a lot, but today we might touch a little bit on these things just so that we can get some information out. But once again, we will keep it happy. We will keep it positive because that's what we do. I mean, we have the news, so that's what they do. Tell us all of the political, platforms and views and information. So, we get down the news. We don't need to hear that today on Renewed Mind Revolution podcast. But for informational purposes, we will touch on that as well. So, look, I am excited once again to be able to close out 2021 with you guys. If you're just listening to this, whatever time frame that you're listening to this is the last week for me for 2021. So we are actually going to be celebrating the New Year's this weekend. So today is Tuesday. And so on Friday is New Year's Eve, and we will be celebrating into 2022. And I said celebrating, and I mean that. Because any chance and any opportunity, any moment that we're able to, experience a new year, to me, it always means a new opportunity. So as long as I am able to open my eyes on New Year's Day, that is my opportunity. That is my new chance. That is my moment to start the things that I put off and start anew, start afresh, and hit some of those goals and fulfill some of these dreams that I have and goals and put things into proper perspective. So I don't want you to get into depression or in a somber mood because of our country and our world right now shutting things back down, and maybe not able to celebrate the way you used to celebrate, or new mandates being put into place. And because we said from the very beginning, we know that we're going to have to be able to adjust to the new norm, right? The new norm. And so every now and then when I'm out, in public, and I put my mask on, it hits me like every now and then. It just hits me how different, the world is now. How the fact is that everywhere I go, everything that I do in public has to be with a mask on. And so these are things that, 3 years ago, I would never thought that I would be dealing with, or that, I would see like all the time. But this is our new norm. And so we are designed to adapt. Believe it or not, we are designed and created to adjust and adapt and conform and move on. I mean, we are created by our creator to be able to do that. And that's why we talk about renewed mind. I mean, we just got to undo some of the things that we are so used to doing and conform to where we are right now. And where we are right now is in the middle of a pandemic that has lasted longer than any of us wanted it to last. I won't say that I didn't expect it to last this long, because I would be lying. I actually, did see it going as long as it has. But did we want it? Absolutely not. Can we personally just change this? Absolutely not. So what do? We do what is best to protect ourselves, protect others around us, and our loved ones, and make sure that we are being a part of the solution and not the problem. So now that I'm off of that, let's get into it. We are going to talk about uh, COVID. Okay, we're going to talk about COVID, and we're going to talk about because this is the recap for 2021. We're going to talk about the different variants, right? And that was something that a lot of people are having a hard time understanding, that this virus is constantly mutating. It's constantly mutating, and it's something for us to try to understand, because some of us think that there are maybe three or four, but there are many that are out there. So let's talk about that. So COVID-19 variants. Viruses constantly change through mutation, and sometimes these mutations result in a new variant of that virus, and that's what we're seeing right now. Some variants emerge and disappear while others persist. Okay, new variants will continue to emerge. Okay, coronavirus didn't just pop up recently. Okay, it is there are a large family of viruses that have been around for a long time. So let's first kick the idea of, oh, this is a brand new virus that where does this come from? Okay, so let's kick that out. Okay, although we might have just heard it in 2019, 2020 in a major platform way, coronavirus has been around for a while. Many of them can cause a variety of illnesses, from a mild cough to severe respiratory illnesses. Um, the new or novel coronavirus that causes COVID-19 is one of several known to affect humans. It's probably been around for some time in animals, okay? And so that's why we know that when coronavirus first came out, people were, connecting it to, what was it, chickens, and so they connected it to animals first, right? Sometimes a virus in animals crosses over into people. That's what scientists think happened here when we're talking about coronavirus. So this virus isn't new to the world. Let me emphasize that. It's not new, but it is new to humans. Okay, and that's the dilemma. It's not new to the world, but it's new to humans. Okay, and that's what the issue has been, that it's new to humans. When scientists found out that it was making people sick, and as I stated, this happened around 2019, for sure, the end of 2019. They named it as a novel coronavirus. Experts call these strains SARS, SARS-CoV 2. Now, we heard of SARS before. This is not a new uh, terminology for us. SARS, we've heard this before. Okay, so now, right now, in this particular couple of weeks, we've been looking at the Omicron, right? The Omicron variant. Okay, so this new variant was first detected in specimens collected on November 11, 2021, okay, in Botswana. Experts in South Africa first reported the Omicron variant to the World Health Organization on November 24th, 2021. They discovered that this variant of COVID-19 infection suddenly began to go up, okay? The World Health Organization, we're just going to call it WHO. Okay, so when you hear me say WHO, we're talking about the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization grouped Omicron as a variant of concern. This category means the variant might have a higher transmissibility, cause more intense disease, and may be less likely to respond to vaccines or treatments. But researchers need more information to confirm these factors. So, the first thing that they noticed about the Omicron is that it was easily transmitted. Okay, easily transmitted. And so that's what we're seeing now. I know for sure where I am, um, in Illinois, we're seeing that there are so many people who are sick. Their hospitals once again are filling up, and this is with that variant. So it's easier transmitted than the others. So far, is what they're noticing. Early evidence suggests that the Omicron variant causes a higher risk of reinfection compared to the other variants. According to research, breakthrough infections are possible with the Omicron variant, even if you're fully vaccinated. So, even those who are fully vaccinated, can get this. But the thing is, what they're saying is those who receive the vaccination and boosters, it still keeps them from going to the hospital. It still keeps them from allowing this variant to make them more likely to, die or have severe symptoms of this variant. So those who are not vaccinated, and this is just what statistics are showing us, and that they're telling us, that those who are not vaccinated, and those who are not, who haven't got vaccinated, booster shots or anything, just haven't done anything, these are the people that they're seeing mostly in the hospital. And these are healthcare professionals. These are people who are in there who are telling us this, that it's moving fast. It's moving faster than any of the other ones. And the symptoms are more severe than those who are vaccinated. So those who are vaccinated are not filling up the hospitals. They are not the ones who are experiencing the extreme symptoms of the illness. They are not the ones who are dying. So this is what the healthcare professionals are telling us. Okay, so it's not about speculation. It's not about assumptions. It's not about our own personal ideology. We're looking at the statistics. We're looking at the facts. We're looking at those who are working in this field and those who are seeing this every day. Okay. Early evidence suggests that Omicron variant causes a higher risk of reinfection compared to the other variants. According to research, breakthrough infections are possible with the Omicron variant, even if you're fully vaccinated. So, we talked about that, and we talked about the fact that, once again, those who are receiving the vaccinations are not the ones who are, taking up the space in the hospitals. The Omicron variant is now the dominant strain in the U.S. Okay, that's what we're looking at. Experts are keeping a close eye on how this variant spreads or develops. Now, before I get into naming some of the other coronavirus mutations so we can get a better understanding I want to say this, and I've seen this in my local news. I've seen this in my national news because we're recapping 2021. Here's my perspective. A lot of people are getting frustrated, and they are uh, breeding this concern of some type of conspiracy and all this. And the reason they're doing this is because they're seeing, uh, you know, the local government and in our nation, and the world government kind of be wishy-washy um, in the things that they're saying regarding this virus. Now, let me tell you why they're doing that. Because they don't know everything. You know, um, this is something that, although it has been around for years, as we just learned, it was in animals. And so this is something that has now hit humans. And so you have people who are people. We talk about this all the time. People are flawed. They're not perfect, no matter how smart they are, no matter how educated they are, no matter what they have, many degrees, right? They're still flawed. They're learning. They're not perfect. They're not God, right? So they're sitting here and they're trying to get information, right? Study this information and put out what is best for that moment. And when something else comes, hear me clearly, people. This is just common sense. This is wisdom. This is whatever you want to call it today. When they get more information, they change whatever they put out before if it's necessary, because now they have more research. They can't sit back and wait a year to put out things. They can't, because people are dying. They're dying rapidly, dying rapidly. And so in order for them to save as many people as they can, to prevent, the population from being just, demolished and going down, and families suffering, and our economy suffering, and people can't go to work and all these things. I mean, because they're sick, and hospitals being overwhelmed. In order for them to do that, they have to put out these extreme measures at first, extreme measures, in order to attempt, and it's not even a guarantee, but attempt to control something. They're attempting to control it. And once they found out more information, they come and adjust that. And a perfect example of that is right now the CDC at one point was telling people you need a recovery time of 14 days. If you say you've been exposed, you need 14 days before you're able to go back to the workforce. Now they're changing that. You think they're just changing that because, all of a sudden, they need you to, to go to work. Why would they do that? That would be defeating the purpose, to put you into an environment to make other people sick. But no, what they have been realizing over time is, hey, if you have been exposed, you don't need the whole 14 days. Go back, get that test, see if it's negative, give yourself 7 days. If it's still negative, let's go to work. So they have adjusted. They have adjusted every month, every 2 weeks, every 6 months, whatever time frame they have, whatever new information they get, whatever new, research they get. They are trying. They are trying to keep up. They are trying to adjust. They're trying to put in mandates that's going to protect us. And to me, what's heartbreaking. What's heartbreaking is for us to not see that they are trying. They're not perfect. They have never came, on the stage and said we know everything, because they would be lying if they did, because no one knows everything. But they have been sharing with us, this is something new. This is something new. Okay, this is what we've learned. This is what we learned. And me saying this is not taking any sides. Trust me, I'm not. This is just the obvious for me. Is that, it has been the obvious for me from day one, is that they did not know what to do. And so they were learning and they were growing, and they were, the more that they learn, the more that they grow, then the more they can, tell the people, and the more they can, share with the people. But then you have those who are adamant about, things being a conspiracy, and there's a setup, and some of the things that, that I've heard. It's just really mind blowing to me, especially from the church. Just, I'm a church girl. So some of the positions that I've heard from the church has been very devastating for me to hear the ignorance that I've heard. And one thing that I'm going to say this, but I'm not going to stay on it. But people telling people that you're taking the mark of the beast and all these things in that ways, they're putting things in you that's going to change, you and, um, you know, at first they were telling people to make them zombies and make men not be able to have to impregnate a woman and because it messed with their sperm count. Okay, it's been a lot of stuff out there. And once again, sometimes people have said this, I get, because of them seeing how unsure, the local government, the government has been on this virus. But then again, some of it just been because people just don't know. And what's amazing to me is that what you don't know, you have a responsibility and an obligation to research and learn and not just share and say things because that's what you just personally feel or personally think. But research, like look into it before you start talking. It's absolutely absurd to me. My mother is she just made 77. And when we first start talking about this, and I really want to get my mother to you guys, if I can't get it at the end of this year, to get her to talk to you guys by the beginning of next year. When we first talked about this vaccination and the virus and all these things, my mother's been around for a good while, and she was saying, this is, mandating vaccination is nothing new. And I'm like, well, I know even as a kid, I had to be vaccinated. I have a mark on my arm to this day from being vaccinated. My husband, born in the same time frame, has the same mark on his arm. And there's some of us who were born in the 70s, we have this mark on our arm from the shots that we were given at that time. And these were shots that you just had to have to make sure you didn't get like measles and all these things. And there was time when people got shots for polio and so we were talking about this, and she was saying, I don't understand why people are acting like this is something that is new. She said things were done, back in the day to make sure that these viruses did not just overtake the country. And the only difference about this particular virus is it's just not our country. This is worldwide, which to me will really make you want to do whatever you needed to do to protect yourself. It's not local. This is not your country, your state. We're talking about the whole world is affected by this. So once again, it's not me pushing my views on anyone. It's just the fact that I personally believe that you should get your facts. Don't hide behind, religious rhetoric. Because some of the things we've been saying in regards to biblical teachings when it comes to vaccinations and when it comes to this particular vaccination has been truly false. It has been wrong. Go back, research your Bible, research scriptures, research the history of those scriptures, and you realize that what you're telling people and what you're saying is wrong. It's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. It does not line up with scripture. It's not prophetic. It's wrong. And before I continue on, let me just say this. I'm a woman of faith. I'm a woman who, has been blessed from God in so many areas of my life, and I thank him so very much. And so I took my time when it came to this vaccination and when it came to coronavirus, learning about it, listening and watching and waiting and not speaking a lot about it. Um, and so I was very careful when it came to my family and us protecting ourselves. And I remember, and this is the truth, and I don't like putting myself out there like that. But before coronavirus became a big issue, I remember having this dream. And in this dream, without me giving like all the details, this was like when we first heard the word coronavirus, before the churches were shut down, before any of those things happened. I remember having this dream about being in, a place where a lot of people who were like wearing church robes and people who were in the church who were leaving prematurely this world because of coronavirus. And I said that earlier on social media. I didn't emphasize on it, but I just said that we need to be very careful how we handled this. And to me, it's been very sad because a lot of people who could have been protected were listening to people who were telling them things that were wrong, spiritual leaders and spiritual guides that were wrong, telling them things that they should not have been saying to them, which could have cost them and did cost people their lives. We lost a lot of people in the church because of the coronavirus. And it did not have to be that way. It did not have to be that way. And so that has always been my concern when it came to this virus. My family and I assured that all of my family members in my household did get the vaccine, and we will continue to do what we need to do. It wasn't something that I ran to go do, but it was something after meditating, praying about it, talked to the elders. One of them, my mother, who got hers early and went on, with no problems, no complications. Praise God. It was something that I wanted to do to protect my family, especially after seeing that dream. And it breaks my heart. And I feel like I had to say this as we recap 2021, that, the church really needs to repent when it comes to telling people things that was not true. Telling people that they're going to hell if they get the vaccine. Tell people that they're like pretty much sign up for Satan if they take the vaccine. You're wrong, and it's unfortunate that we all have to be accountable for what we do and what we say, especially when it comes to the church, especially for those who are claiming to speak on behalf of the Lord. We all have to meet God one day, and we all will have to answer for what we do and what we say. And so for those who are doing that, you're going to have to answer for that. If you have any type of influence over people in a spiritual way, you're going to have to answer for that. So my suggestion to those who are listening to me today, I'm not telling you what to do at all. I'm just telling you to use wisdom. Don't look to people, such as, people that just because you're going to church, you expect them to know everything. They don't. They're men. They're flawed. And that's not even their area of expertise. Get to establish a relationship with God yourself so that He can lead you to make the best decision for yourself and for your family. Now, I want to continue on to talk about 2021 because, I can go all day about that because you guys know that when something really hits my heart, as much as I hate to say it, I'm going to say it. I have to say it. And so that really has bothered me, to see so many people lose their parents and their children and their loved ones because of COVID. People who was actually saying COVID didn't even exist. And they were in the church saying this. It's absolutely crazy to me. It's all a fraud. They're just trying to get you guys to do this, do that. Come on now. But we have to, I'm not going to just blame it on those people. I'm going to blame it on us because we have to be smart and wise enough not to listen to everything. Like, we have our own minds. We have our own thoughts. God has given you a mind to, listen or not listen to someone. So you don't have to listen. You don't have to take that advice. It makes no sense if it don't line up. If it's not cohesive, don't take the advice. You don't have to do that. Like, do your own research. If you don't even trust what I'm saying today, go look, go find out. Do what you need to do for yourself and for your family. Because you guys know that's what I believe in, research. I believe in you educating yourselves so that you can make the best decision for yourself and for your family. Now, there are other coronavirus mutations, alpha, beta, gamma, mu, R1. I remember my daughter was saying it's like the frats and sororities with these names, and it was witty, but we know coronavirus is very serious. But yeah, she had a point. Epsilon, theta, zeta were at one point listed as variants as well of interest, but they were downgraded by the World Health Organization. but they're still being monitored. So there's other variants out there right now that they are monitoring. So we just have to be on guard about that. And so my advice before we move on to the next topic of 2021, my advice is, number one, to do your own research, to pray about this. Pray about this for yourself and for your family. To not, it's hard to say not panic, but don't panic. It's nothing that we personally can change or we can make just go away, but we can protect ourselves. Prayer will give you peace, meditation will give you peace about it. And be vigilant in your own way, which means you protect yourself, you educate yourself, you inform yourself. Um, and those are the things that you equip yourself with. When we don't know, we perish. People, my people perish for lack of knowledge, right? And it's just not scripture. It's just lack of knowledge. And we see that because people don't know anything. They just start coming up with this irrational thinking and irrational behavior, and it causes people to perish. So let's not do that. Let's not do that. Okay, so the next area that I want to hit for 2021, recapping 2021, is the community chaos that we're seeing. And what I'm talking about is our society right now is showing signs of lawless behavior. We're talking robbery, we're talking carjacking, we're talking smash and grab, we're talking increasing of shootings. So these are things that are going on right now. I mean, at a alarming rate, right? And so people would love to blame the pandemic on that. I don't agree with that at all. I don't agree with that at all. There is definitely something that's going on that's kind of being released into the air, but it's not just the pandemic. Let's look at, for those who are not sure about smash and grab, what's actually happening here in the United States is that we're seeing, groups of people going into, stores and just literally breaking the glass of showcase case glass and just snatching jewelry, snatching purses of value. And what that's doing is it's causing these businesses to shut down, which is not good for the community or the economy. And I don't think people understand that big picture. When you're living in a community where you see nothing but boarded up buildings because the stores refuse to constantly be under threat and lose their products, that's going to affect your community. It just the community looks abandoned, and so economically, it is devastating to the community. And it's happening even here in Illinois and Chicago downtown. They're hitting major stores, and so this is just they're walking in, walking out. I mean, with guns and moving fast, and it's at a point right now where a lot of times they're kind of told not to address, not to be confrontational with the people that are coming in. So those, even if they're in security, they're just there because they're not being confrontational with those. They're outnumbered, and it can become dangerous. So this is a crazy time that we're living in. Carjackings is, as of 2021, the American city with the highest number of carjackings is Chicago. This is statistically in Chicago. Chicago been experiencing a surge in carjackings after 2019, and at least 1,415 such crimes took place in the city in 2020. I don't know. I kind of think that number might be higher. In Minneapolis, for example, were 405 carjackings last year, more than triple the number in 2019. But what's equally disturbing are the ages of the people involved. Some are as young as 12 or 13, or a mixture of teenagers and young adults. Now, let me tell you what some people are thinking, right? They are thinking the reason that this age group is being used to do these carjackings is because they are not penalized, right? That's what people are saying. I'm throwing this out here. They're saying, and this has been saying for years, that you get the minors to do these type of crimes because they're not going to spend any real time. They're in and out of the system. And so it's fine to get a 12-year-old, 13-year-old to do that. But the issue is, getting a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 15-year-old to do this, they are shooting. They are shooting. They're not, because they think they treating this like it's a video game. When this first happened, young people around me were saying, hey, they're acting like it's a video game. They're getting that from this, and I won't mention the video game, but they're getting that from this video game. And at first I couldn't believe that. I was just thinking that's not possible, is it? To be acting as they actually said some of the moves that they saying on the surveillance on the news. Hey, that's what they do on this game. That's exactly what they do on this game. And so, when you get young people to do this thing, maybe they are thinking this like it's just a game. Maybe their senses have been being dulled down so they don't understand the fact that when you are shooting somebody and killing somebody, it affects their family, and it affects their community, and eventually will affect you. Maybe they're not thinking that, but the truth is that statistically, the people who are doing this are young adults. We're not talking young children and young adults. This is a huge problem. This is not grown people out here carjacking. Okay, these are kids out here carjacking. And so that's a huge problem. And it has to be addressed. In my opinion, once again, my opinion, our judicial system has to do something. Our judicial system has to begin to adjust to this change that has been going on. It's not getting better. It's not getting better at all. Now, one of the things that, because for those who don't know, I have a criminal law a degree that I received many years ago. I've always was a person who felt like you have to hold the entire family accountable for a minor. And this is what I mean. And I know I'm not going to get a lot of amens or I agree with you for that. That's okay. I'm a big girl. I can handle this. But I believe that if you have a 12 or 13-year-old, 14, 15-year-old, 16-year-old out here committing major crimes, carjacking, shooting, killing, we need to follow that child home. And we need to make these parents or whoever the guardians are, hold them accountable. The reason I'm saying that is because, people will say, I can't control them. They're out of order. I don't know where they are. So what are you doing about that? See, if as a parent, we are responsible for the upkeep of our child. We have to make sure that they are fed. We have to make sure they have a roof over their head. We have to make sure that their basic needs are met. If our child is kicked out of our home by us, they come to your house. And did you kick this child out? Because you can't just do that. You can't just throw your kid out on the street and say, I don't want to be bothered with you no more. That's neglect, right? If I don't feed my child and I don't take care of my child go to school and tell that, they're coming for me, right? So you're telling me that I can't neglect my child in that area, but I can neglect my child and not knowing where they are in the middle of the night. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. You have a 13-year-old. I don't care that it's a male. I don't care. You tell me you don't know where your 13-year-old is at 4 o'clock in the morning. Somebody has to be responsible. And if that household is dysfunctional, if that household is so dysfunctional because the parent is maybe on drugs or whatever, then there are resources that our government have in place that assist that child. That child, you have grandmothers, you have uncles, you have aunts, you have all these other family members that should supposed to step up and help out. But if they cannot, there are still resources. If your child is out of order, you got no control of them, they're doing everything they want, they have resources for that. They have resources for that. But what is not acceptable is just saying as a parent, I don't know what they're doing. They're 13 though. They're 12. They're 14. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know where they are. They just do whatever they want to do. They don't listen to me anymore. Really? Really? As a parent? Is that okay? I cannot lay out a plan right now on this podcast, but we need to start holding them accountable, mandating that they get help, mandating that they get classes, courses, training. If you don't know what you need to be doing as a parent, somebody need to show you, somebody need to equip you. Please don't tell me, oh, because you've been unemployed for 6 months, that it's okay for your child to go out there and start robbing. Come on. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. Your son or your daughter is bringing in new things into your house that you didn't buy and they don't have a job. That's not acceptable. We're not going to sit there and tell each other that is okay, that is acceptable. Now, I'm a parent. So I'm telling you, that's not right. Anything that my child brings in the house, I'm saying, where did you get that from before they had a job? Where'd you get that from? Right? Who gave you that? I ask questions, and that's your job. Parenting is not just, you know, uh, procreating. It's not just giving birth. It's not just providing a seed. It's not. It goes way beyond that. And if you don't know that, then somebody needs to teach you that. Somebody needs to share that, because this is not okay. This is not okay. This is becoming a lawless society, and and unfortunately, it's the young people that are doing that. And I don't blame them all the time. I blame the family. I blame the adults in their life who is not showing them that this is not acceptable. This is not okay. You got young people who have no respect for adults, none whatsoever. Where do you think they got that from? You think they were born that way? Absolutely not. But the environment, was conducive to them turning out that way. And so we need to get to that, get to the core. And we would love to not blame the parents. We would love to not put that back in the hands of the parents. But you have to. If you have a child and you see your child is exhibiting behavior that is dangerous and you ignore it, then you're accountable. Get your child some help. If your child is sad, walking around depressed for a month and seems suicidal, get your child some help. Don't act surprised if it actually happens, because you saw it. We are the first people to come in contact with our children. We see our children more than anybody. So we know when they're behaving in a way that's not right. My children are pretty much almost grown, and I still ask questions as to, are you okay? What's wrong with you today? Are you moody today? What's happening with you today? And I'll keep pushing it. And I'll get on their nerves because they're, Ma, come on, please. No, I'm not. Because I need to know what's going on with you. And what you're feeling today. What's happening in your life. So that's what we need to do. You all, I can do a whole podcast on that view, because it really disturbs me that, we have our young people out here just lawless, lawless, absolutely no respect for anybody. I mean, one of the stories that I just heard not too long ago, there was an elderly gentleman who was just walking to get a newspaper in our local news. 70 some odd year old man walking to get his newspaper in his own community. Uh, a young guy drove past him, began to shoot out of his car at the older man for no reason. Missed him, got out his car to go straight to him to finish the job. Do you hear what I'm saying? They're killing our young, our elderly. They're killing our children. Children are killing children. I mean, these are babies who are getting shot. You have 4-year-old, 3-year-old, 2-year-olds with gun wounds. We're not living in a war zone. This should not be happening. This should not be acceptable. This should not be ignored. And so, this is something that we're seeing right now. This is something that is frustrating me. Another thing that is that should be considered by law enforcement when it comes to these carjackings is that you all know who are taking these cars in. You know that there are chop shops. Go and raid them chop shops. Make it uncomfortable for them. You know, um, we know that a lot of these cars are being stolen not just for joyriding, but for committing other crimes. So it's even more important that we, get to locating these cars and locating the individuals that take these cars, because they're going to always be attached to more crimes. So, once again, you guys, I can definitely go on and on about that, because it really bothers me to be able to, be in a store and you're trying to, buy your stuff, and then a bunch of individuals, which are young folk, kids, come in and snatch a bunch of stuff and walk out. It's devastating. It's absolutely devastating. And we don't want to live in this type of environment or get used to that. Our children are going to school and they are in an environment where they don't even know if their schoolmate is going to not just bring a gun but shoot up the school. And let me just say this: it's political in my own. It is political, but this is my perspective. I'm ending 2021, telling you how I feel about certain things that I have come across. Um, when I heard about the last shooting here in the United States, and the prosecutor who decided to charge the parents as well, I was elated. I was so excited. I was so grateful because for the first time, somebody stood up and said, wait a minute. Because there were other factors. We know a lot went on. For those who follow the story, there were a lot of things that go on. The parents had been there that day, meeting with the school in regards to their child's behavior. They told them to take him home. They did not take him home. We know that there were text messages. There were conversations prior to this to show that the parents was neglectful in doing their part. And this is what I'm talking about. You have to hold someone besides that child responsible. So then when you start making these parents responsible, then you're going to see some change. Thank you, kudos to that prosecutor who stated, you know what? No, we're going to pull you guys into. And I appreciate that because that's what needs to be done more and more. You go find these children who are committing these major crimes, who think it's a joke. They're laughing and stealing and acting as if we have no law in our land. This is just do whatever you want to do and there's no accountability. Go to their houses and start. When you find that merchandise that's being stored inside that house with that parent, okay, there has to be an accountability. There has to be accountability. Shooting on the rampage, it has to be accountability. Let's follow this gun. Follow out, find out. In that case, the young man, got it from his parents. Let's find out and hold these people accountable. We have to, because we have to, make sure that we're living in a society where there is accountability. And I think that is something that is missing. People are doing whatever they want to do, and there's no accountability. And that's leading to a lawless society. Then my question, to the end is, what is the state of the church right now in that? And so, we know that the church has had to make adjustments to regarding, even how they meet. There's been a lot of online services. But is that enough? What are we doing? What is the church doing as a whole? And should the church be doing more? So I would love to hear your feedback on what you think the church is doing and what the church could be doing more in regards to that. Should the church continue to behave the same way that it has been doing prior to the pandemic? Is that going to work? The same method that you've been using prior to the pandemic, prior to all of this, this uprising and panic and lawlessness, anxiety, depression. Are you going to still use your same response, your same, MO as a church, or are we going to change as a church? Does the church need to revamp? Is my question. And so I would love to hear you give me your view on that. So listen, I'm going to sum this up. I promise you I will. But I wanted to share something with you. This is something that my final words, almost, right? My final words based upon a song that my father used to say before I broadcast, at church years and years and years ago. But my final words is, despite the grim outlook of our current situation, I'm positioned in hope. I always teach about hope because I believe that if we live in a hopeless society, then our society will crash and burn. You have to have hope. So when I think about hope, I think about uh, a few lines of this song that my father used to sing before our radio podcast. And it says this: my hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and righteousness. Listen, I dare not trust the sweetest frame, but wholly lean on Jesus' name. On Christ, the solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. When darkness veils his lovely face, I rest on his unchanging grace. In every high and stormy gale, my anchor holds within the veil. His oath, his covenant, his blood supports me in the whelming flood. When all around my soul gives way, he then is all my hope and stay. On Christ, solid rock I stand. All other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. Listen, as I go to face 2022, I'm encouraged. Despite everything that I share with you that happened in 2021, it was very sad to say. Better yet, for you to hear, but it's a fact. It's what we've been dealing with. It's what we've been facing, and so this is why I do what I do, because I know that hearing all that and experiencing all that has really broken your heart, as it has broken mine many times before. But what I don't want it to do is for you to lose hope. I don't want you to lose faith. I want you to know that regardless of what the world goes through, regardless of what we see and what we hear, there is something more to this. There is something bigger than this. There is something greater than this that is here, that is keeping, that's sustaining, that's providing, that is guiding. Our hope is built on nothing less than Jesus' blood and his righteousness. I'm not going to trust anything else. I'm not going to depend on anything else or anybody else, but I'm going to depend on him. For those who are listening today, I want to encourage you as you face 2022 to not allow your circumstances or your situation or the circumstance or situation of our country and world today to get you in a place that you should not be. But I want you to remember who you are and whose you are. I want you to know that you are loved, that you are fearfully made, that you are a gift, that your life has meaning, that God has entrusted you to be here in this particular time. All the stuff that I talked about, he entrusted you and me to be a part of that. In some type of way, you and I are a part of that, and a part of the healing of that, the light in the darkness of that. See, we're going to be the light in this darkness. You're going to be the light in this. Your testimony, your story is going to be the light in this darkness. You have purpose. And sometimes we think that, something small is not effective. And we talk about this all the time. Whatever you have, even if you think it is small, it is effective. If you can touch one person, if you can help one life, one family, it's effective, and it's empowering, and it's inspiring. So as we face 2022, don't be disencouraged. Don't be heartbroken. Don't feel like, oh my God, we're going through this again. Don't even speak that. Don't accept that, because people are doing that. I don't want to repeat what we've been through again. Please, let's not go through all that again. Don't accept that. Don't put that in yourself. Don't do that to yourself. But begin to speak life. Begin to speak provisions. Today was the word for me. Today was provisions. And I shared that on my social media play. Provisions. Because that's what we're going to have. Provisions. Come on, somebody. We're going to have provisions. Okay? So I speak grace over you. I speak life over you. I speak hope and provisions over you as you face your 2022. You guys, this will be my last podcast for 2020, 2021. And so I just want to tell you guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for riding with me on this journey. We have been together for a couple of years. It's been outstanding. It's gotten better and better and better. Um, as I stated, hopefully will be able to, bring my mother to you guys for 2022. I wanted to get it for 2021. I don't think that's going to happen. But 2022, we got her. We're going to get her. She has some nuggets. I know you guys going to appreciate it. And I'm just so grateful for you guys. I pray for your health and your strength, for your family, and that you will continue to thrive. Continue to thrive. You got this. You got this. Listen, it has been outstanding as usual. It's been my pleasure as usual to be able to come on today, share some tips and some tools with you that I know will help you and assist you in becoming a better you. This has been great, you guys. We share some nuggets. We share some tools. We share some tips. We share some facts on today. You can do this. You can do this. Come on. As you go into 2022, celebrate. If it hurts, celebrate. Don't sit and sulk. Don't sit and sulk. Celebrate. Just celebrate. If you by yourself, celebrate you. Celebrate yourself. Come on, because you've been through it. But you came through it. It didn't stop you. It tried. It gave you everything that it had. But it could not stop you. It tried to break you. It tried to push you down. It tried to do everything that it could, but it couldn't do it. Come on, somebody. It couldn't do it. If it could, it would have done it. But it couldn't. Come on. You got grace. You got grace. And you got provision. And I thank God for you. I'm excited about your future. I'm excited about what we're going to do in 2022 together. This podcast will be bigger and better than ever. And I am excited to be able to share that with you. Continue to ride with me as we go to 2022. God bless you guys. Happy holidays. Happy New Year. Remember that I love you, but most importantly, God loves you more. God bless.